this is Gloria, and welcome back to another week of the Both Sides Podcast. And I don't know why I have so much energy because I'm hella tired. I'm here with Chima, of course. He's here every week, so I'm here with him. And we have a very jam-packed topic today, which is sexual assault.
All you touchy-feely boys, all you tip drillers.
Ew.
Coming for you.
Yeah, so we're discussing rape culture, sexual assault, all that stuff because we've been heavy in the media. But before we get to that, Chima.
Yo.
Holla at us with some announcements.
So just for your we got a couple things coming up, guys. We have the Spaces Philly mixer coming up. That's this week, actually. This weekend.
It is. It's
Saturday, 5 p.m. From 5 to 8. Please do not be on nigger time. Please be on white man time. Right on the dot, okay? You can even come a few minutes early and, get yourself some brownie points there. November 18th, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. The tickets, the ticket link will be in the show notes, so you can definitely hit that up. As well as
hit that up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Check the show notes. We also have my fraternities, my chapters, Arms of Alpha program, which is a annual Thanksgiving Day community service event. Been doing this for a decade and a half. You just want to come out November 23rd. Also, that will be in the show notes there, the ticket to donate, as well as the information for, the address and the time and stuff like that. So link up, pull up, let's help the less fortunate. Let's do what we can to make the world a better place.
So that Thanksgiving is next week?
It definitely is next week. And we definitely have our annual family dinner.
How come
it's about to be lit. I mean, you just never want to come.
That's
I don't know.
Lie. Okay.
I mean, come through. There's a lot of food and liquor, a lot of it. So, it's up to you.
I'll think about it.
Yep. All right. Also, guys, check out Black Experience Worldwide. Just tag your photos, BXWW, or tag the actual page in your photos, and we can definitely post you on the page. Want to create a space where we show the world how great it is to be Black and to do Black stuff. I guess is that Black stuff. But yeah, just show the world to be carefree Black boys, Black boy joy, Black girl joy, Black girl magic,
Black girl
and
magic,
stuff like that.
Black boy joy.
Yep. But yeah, link up, guys, and just have fun. Well, apart from that, that's your weekly updates.
Well, thank you for the lovely weekly updates, Chima. And how was your week besides, all that stuff you have going
on? Week is about to be real. I mean, last week was real. It was calmish. Went to work, did the regular things, did a bunch of then on Saturday, because I'm the kind of like the chair for the Arms of Alpha community service event program. I've been just doing a lot, and where there's a lot going on with the frat. So I've just been busy doing that. I'm about to go into full pledge mode and just, knock some stuff out this week. But last week was cool. I mean, I didn't really turn up or do anything crazy. It's just been really a lot of work and stuff like that.
Pledge mode?
Nothing too wild. Like, when you just put your head down and just knock stuff out, Yeah, pretty much. It's just it's expression. I don't know what it really means,
Oh, I mean, I don't know. So that's why I'm asking you. Well, my week was pretty chill. I feel like I don't forget, but I do forget. I'm like, I'm going to talk about this. And then when it comes down to it, I'm like, did I really do anything that interesting to talk about? Which I don't think I did this week. So we could just skip over me.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on though, but yeah. So guys, just as Gloria said at the beginning of the show, today we are going to be talking a lot about, rape culture, sexual assault, because we have been seeing that in the media a lot. You log onto Twitter now and you find out each day it's somebody new. If it's not, what's his name, Harvey Weinstein, It's Bill Cosby or Kevin Spacey, or if you've been on Twitter this week, it's been about the guy who part of Bourbon Ball. There's just a lot going on, and so we're gonna touch on different topics today. Well, not really different topics, but different parts of the entire rape culture blanket or umbrella, and try to see how that what's going on with that, as well as how it is in America versus how it is in Africa, and just stuff in general. Just talk about rape culture and how we can definitely work to be better as a community, and stuff like that, and what how rape culture starts, and or where it's learned and stuff like that. So we're gonna kind of dive into it, kind of make it a digestible topic. A lot of people are kind of triggered by it, but I don't want you to just, oh my gosh, she said something. Try to definitely understand. Try to at least work with us here. Where we're coming from, and let's have a good conversation about it. And hopefully, if you are triggered, I do apologize for that, but definitely hit us up on Twitter at Ask Both Sides and let us know how triggered you are. Okay.
Yeah, and you can email us too at bothsidespodcast at gmail.com if you want to be a little more discreet with the comments.
Yep. But yeah, but here we go though. I mean, but what have been your initial thoughts though, Gloria, on these like all these allegations and stuff coming out?
Um,
Because lately it's been Harvey Weinstein. So actually, wait, let's go back. I won't say it started with Bill Cosby, but I guess the major one that I can remember in recent times was Bill Cosby with all his accusers.
recent
Um,
times meaning like the past
then
year or so, because I mean there's sexual assault stuff
yeah,
coming
yeah, yeah, yeah,
all the time.
yeah. I mean, in, like the last year or so, or the last, well, pretty much 2017. So wait, when did the Bill Cosby thing start? Was it late last year?
Honestly, I don't know time you learn, but I feel like it did come out in 2016. Because I know it was
Okay,
around the
so
time they said he was trying to do the whole buy-in of whatever he was trying to do.
mhm. It could be like the like late 2016. Um, okay, that makes sense. But so, like I was saying, so pretty much in recent times, well, with Bill Cosby, you've been seeing everybody coming out to say that he sexually assaulted them. Putting was it Quaaludes in their drinks and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And from there, now you're seeing Harvey Weinstein and all these people coming out saying that he's been sexually assaulting them. He's masturbating in front of people. Dog, that's wild.
What?
That I don't understand, like
Masturbate in
how you
front of
can.
somebody?
I mean, I can't even say hype,
Masturbate in
huh?
front of somebody?
I mean, I won't say it's wild because if you're with your man or your girl, I mean, kind of you want to get freaky, mix it up. You could pull out your jank and start wanking it off. But just to do that to somebody who you're trying to probably give a job to and stuff, that's a whole different level of, bro. That's some confidence right there. I don't even know.
Yeah, actually, I know someone in high school. It was like not in my class. He was younger, but I heard the stories because my brother was like a couple grades lower than me, and he was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, one of those kids that I knew, like he was jerking off in class." And he got, I don't remember if he got suspended or expelled, like some very wild weird shit happened on in high school. And when I heard the whole thing about like masturbation and stuff like that, it reminded me of that story which I forgot about. And I was like, that is actually very inappropriate. And the
That's
fact that I
sick,
feel
yo.
like I can't remember what the conversation was. I know like everybody was discussing, like the teacher was discussing. It was like a lot of talk going on, like, oh, he was masturbating and he was sitting in the front of the class. But man, like all that stuff, it's my so back to your question of my initial thoughts on everything that's going on is that I'm glad that now women, especially, and it's not only women going through it, but women especially are
Hmm.
voicing how they feel without, you know, well, let me not say without because, some people, there are repercussions to what they're saying. Some people will give their unsolicited opinions and say that they're lying or making it up, or people will look at them differently. So I really admire the courage that women and men are showing in regards to being sexually assaulted or raped or whatever the case may be. And it's really disheartening to hear a lot of this stuff because it's like, people always saying, oh, well, either women are exaggerating it or they're making it up and things like that, but clearly they're not. I mean, then some people say, "Oh, well, some women lie," and we take that into consideration too. And I hate when people always say that, like, "Okay, well, we know some women lie," because I actually do know people who've been affected by someone
Mm-hmm.
who has, you know, lied or exaggerated something. But at the end of the day, that's not what we're focused on here, because we know that more men are assaulting and raping women, and we hear it every day and you see it
Yep.
every day. And I hate that that's even brought up in conversation. So I'm just glad that it's being brought up to the forefront, and we're really holding men more accountable for all the crazy wild shit that they do. And something I also saw on Twitter as well, which was kind of like, oh, when you're talking about things that are considered assault or harassment, and it's kind of like, oh, I think I've probably been in a situation like that, or know somebody who's been in a situation like that, but due to the culture of how assault is seen, like, you didn't really consider it to be anything. It's probably like, oh, they're probably being creep, they're probably being weird, but we didn't realize that this could be assault. So
It's real interesting though, because I think seeing all these things come out, first there was the Bill Cosby thing, and the first thing that we thought, especially as Black people, or here they are trying to take another Black man down. At that point, I think the rumor going on around that time was that he was about to, I think, have a deal with NBC or something like that, about to buy them or something to that effect. And because he was about to do that, all these women started coming out saying that he raped them and stuff like that. And from there, we kind of, because we had, I guess, Bill Cosby as the father of this father figure who was on the Cosby Show, and who taught us how to do these things. There was no way that this man could possibly be the one doing all this. And it kind of it's seeing all these Hollywood stars come out, it's kind of crazy. It kind of makes you think of the people you kind of hold to a high regard or you put on a pedestal,
mhm.
because here you are thinking that Bill Cosby, Kevin Spacey, and all these high powerful high men, you know, of course they wouldn't be doing something like that. Like, why would somebody in this position be doing such a
Mhm.
thing? And here you are, they're just
Yeah.
acting out, and it kind of shows you how crazy, how much you really can't put into people. One, and two, how much is really going on behind closed doors, because these people are very good at acting. They're very good at acting and showing the world that they're this, have this great humanitarian side. There's no way they can be doing this behind closed doors, but these dudes are like fucked up,
Mhm.
heavy, like heavy, and it's just so wild. And I guess the thing that kind of, the reason why I wanted to talk about this more specifically was because seeing all these women come out, and all these, every day is somebody new, with Kevin Spacey, and like, what? Actually, no, I lied, because Kevin Spacey kind of was a creep in what was that
American
movie?
Beauty. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
goodness,
I'm
bruh.
not even gonna lie, like, I really enjoyed that movie, but now it takes a
Nah,
different.
yo, that thing was so, bruh. It's so creepy. Like, I was always creeped out by Kevin Spacey in
Yeah,
that
he was
movie.
he was very creepy.
Always to this day, like, so creepy. And I'm just like, yo, what the hell? And to come to find out, first I didn't even know he was gay,
I didn't know that either,
at
but
all.
when they said it, I wasn't shocked. And I don't know, it's because we've seen him in House of Cards, being intimate with
In that
men. So
role.
I don't know. And it's fucked up as
Mhm.
it sounds, but I don't know if that kind of was like, oh, okay. But even before then, I don't know if I ever looked at him straight or
As
gay.
being,
Like
I
I
never
guess I was
looked. I mean,
indifferent to it. I never thought about it.
because even before House of Cards, where do I remember Kevin Spacey from? I
American
mean, apart
Beauty.
from American Beauty, that was really it, though. That's it. I mean, for me, it was American Beauty and House of
I
Cards.
know he's done some other
I
movies,
don't know him
but
from
I'm
any
not
other movie.
sure.
So the thing is that even with that, like, because my only memory was him really being a creep on American Beauty, then I saw him kind of being I won't say it was being a creep on House of Cards, but him also playing a like, I guess he was bisexual on that show, or he was, I don't know what he, I don't, because he also did like men on that show though. I mean, like, he had a gay lover or something like that. Before Claire, I think.
Yes.
I can't remember, but whatever. It's just so weird to see these men every day is coming out. Somebody new is coming out with something, and it kind of got me thinking, right? What do we do on a regular basis that is considered that could be part of rape culture,
Hmm.
you know? Because I know for a fact I've definitely contributed to it, and you start to think when all these things are coming out, like, yo, because growing up, it's all, I won't say it's fun and games, but like you don't really think too much. You're not really thinking critically about certain things growing up. So when you finally are of an age where you can actually analyze situations, you start to think like, yo, have I done anything to contribute towards this?
So,
Or
what if it's not too personal? What do you feel like how have you contributed to this culture?
like I mean, like, so I've been at parties where, you see a girl walking by, she has a fat butt, and you just grab it, right? You grab it and you keep on. And if she looks at you and she smiles, if she's a body, she might come in and smile back and dance with you, or, she may just look at you and just, keep on going,
Hmm.
and it's so weird because now that you think about it, it's so fucked up how she may be used to guys violating her in that way where they just grab her ass and she just looks at you, frowns, and just keeps on going because it's like, I'm so, this behavior is so normalized I can't even react,
It def
or it's not worth you
it
reacting,
definitely
you know.
is normalized because even I think even when I was little, so I've always had, I guess, a more pronounced posterior, in my younger
Mhm.
age and growing
Wow.
up in the Bronx and stuff and being a young girl and I developed very quickly.
Mhm.
So men will look at you, when they're out on the step, like to the point that I will wear, if I could show you all my pictures and maybe I'll like find some and put them up. All I wore was oversized clothing because I did not want the men who would be sitting outside to like call me or say anything, weird because I was young.
Mhm.
So then anytime like anybody would mention anything about my butt, like I would be in defense mode because people would make really inappropriate comments about it
And
all the time. You know what I'm saying? And for me, feeling like that as a child, like I was probably around like 10 when I started doing this. And I used to walk to school. So I would wear
Mhm.
everything was oversized. Like it would be an extra large sweater. I was actually skinny back then. I was like extra large sweater, everything because I didn't want to draw any attention
any attention.
to myself.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, like how sad is that I felt like I had to do that.
It's so wild. Like, it's so wild, and I think even now that when, and I think what kills me the most about this whole thing is that, okay, you know it's one thing to know that, okay, maybe you're contributing to it, or actually, no, let me take that back. It's like when somebody tells you about yourself, the first thing we kind of do is go into defense mode. That's regular human nature.
Hmm.
But I think what we need to start doing is, start to really listen to what people say and start to question yourself and say, hey, have I really been doing this?
Hmm.
Um, and not really just, kind of snap back at women. So if women are saying, hey, like, men are a lot, are predators, the last thing you should be saying is, why are you wearing that dress that makes your ass look fat, or why are you wearing that dress that that shows your curves and stuff like that?
Hmm.
Don't you know I can't control myself? Like, just shit like that, that doesn't even make sense when you even say it out loud,
Right.
and it's like, it's really so weird because I know that we've really all contributed to it, even women too,
Hmm.
and I don't know if women have contributed to it because it's just so normalized, or what,
I think
like.
I think they do in a sense because even like to your ass grabbing comment, I think a
Mhm.
lot of us ladies or can speak to somebody just filling them up or grabbing them up in the party and stuff. And I know that's happened a couple of times. I know I straight duffed this nigga one time when he tried that. Um, so it is normalized. And no, I did. I mean, granted, I hurt myself in the process, but like them games were not to be played, and people would do it all the time. Like it's definitely happened on more than one occasion where somebody felt like, oh, like they could just walk up to you and grab your ass or like grab any body part of yours. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you? You know what I'm saying? Why do you feel like you have the right to touch my body, no matter what setting we're in, whether we're in a party or we're out in the street? It would happen. It happen anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so crazy because like you know hormones. I guess one, you really have to learn how to control your hormones, especially as men. And I think that's where the most, because we feel like we can't control it. We start to act like wild animals, and men are real. God, I have so many words trying to come out. Yeah, it's men are real predators. They're like real predatory beings, and it's. I remember one time like this. God, I don't know if I should say this, but anyway, uh, for the most part, no, I'm not gonna say it. No, as well, but
Yo, now you got me looking
no,
like what?
no,
What?
no, I'm, no,
We'll
I'm not.
discuss that
But
off
I
air.
don't know. It's just really, yeah, it's just real interesting to see what what we're doing, and why we're refusing to change, really, because you see a lot of people, especially on Twitter, when people are bringing up these sexual assault allegations and things like that. A lot of the men are just like trying to fight back so much. Oh no, why you put yourself in that situation? And I completely understand in the sense that I'm big on prevention is better than cure, right? Not even prevention is better than cure, but I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I know certain things can go. And I use this kind of loosely. Um
Yeah, you say that because you're a man. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
and I
that's, I
get it,
think
right?
that's part of the problem. Like men are always like,
Yeah.
well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? No, how about you don't go out and do the fucking crazy shit that you guys do? Which
Yeah,
is
and
either assault, harass, or rape. And the thing
that's very
is
true.
always on the onus of the woman to take measures as to make sure she doesn't get raped, make sure she's not assaulted,
Yeah,
make sure she's not harassed. But it's never on a man to sit here and be like, okay, well, maybe I should not be touching her like that, or harassing her like that, or any type of manner. It's always, oh well, why isn't your dress longer? Or don't you think this is too tight because it's going to entice the man and he won't be able to control himself because he's a fucking rabid animal, right? And so therefore he would touch you. And it's like, no, it's never on the onus from
yeah.
men and women alike to be like, what you're doing is wrong. Like the shit you're doing is actually very wild and you cannot do that.
No,
The conversation is never like that.
and I get it, right, but and I guess my issue more so with that is I know for a fact that men are creeps. I know for a fact that men are predators. And at this age, at this point in time right now, we're constantly trying to combat that, trying to educate men, as even though that's an uphill battle right now. And and I understand where women are coming from. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to wear what you want to wear, even if you want to walk down the street butt naked, right? But I'm also very, and I guess a realistic person in a sense. Not saying that women aren't, but in a situation where I know for a fact that men are predators, right? Um, how would I like? I don't even. There's not even a good way to say this at all, really.
Yeah, because you're saying, oh yeah, men are predators, but well, you're gonna put a but, and you're gonna say, oh well, this is what women should do. And I'm not saying that, oh, we should completely lose our minds and just do whatever. No, but I still feel like the conversation still needs to go back to the men
To
and them taking
Mhm.
accountability for
I
their
agree.
actions. Men will do anything not to take accountability for what they do. And that's why this kind of culture continues. Because one, um, that patriarchy is what really protects you guys. And now
Yep.
women are like, no, we're calling that shit to the light. And you guys can't hide under that anymore. Now we're really driving this conversation to the table. We're showing you this is really what's happening from who was somebody's youngest victim, like a baby. You know what I'm saying? And they're not even in a celebrity. Like this goes on in everyday lives. It could be your neighbor, it could be somebody you never know. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like now we are taking the conversation to the table and saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is how you
Mm-hmm.
guys are contributing to it. Listen to us because this is happening, whether you want to believe it or not. And this is what we
Yeah.
need from you guys to either drive the accountability factor, make sure you guys are checking your actions, and make sure you're checking your people too. Maybe it's not even you that's doing it, but I'm sure you know somebody who's done something, right? And it's kind of brushed off and laughed off. It's not either it's not really your business, somebody might say, or
Yeah.
it's usually like that. You know what I'm saying? Like we still sit there and still make excuses for ourselves and other people.
And here's the thing with that, right? I never understand, the accountability part, but I think what most men probably struggle with is because, you never want to, in any situation, if you feel like you're also doing something that may be contributing to it, you also feel kind of weird calling somebody out, right? So just as I've said, I've done certain things in the past, and that could be definitely considered a sexual assault or part of rape culture, right? Um, it's so hard also checking somebody who may have done that or is continuing doing it, right? And cannot and kind of feeling like it's not your place to do so, because how
Right.
can the pot, how can the kettle be calling the pot black,
I feel like if you right now, so let's just say, okay, you've contributed to rape culture in some type of way, but now you're starting to gain understanding as to what your actions mean and how they're affecting women or men, right? Now that you know this information and you are still seeing someone contribute to that culture, why would you not say anything? You know what I'm saying? Like that to me
because
makes no
because
sense because it's like,
no, and I get it,
yeah, because it's like,
and
oh,
but
okay,
then,
well, oh, I used to do it too. So who am I to say, oh, what you're doing is wrong? Yeah, you are the one who knows. Now you know is to sit here and be like, yo, that shit is crazy what you're doing. Like you need to stop.
but you but I get that, right? But this is how a typical conversation will go in a case where you see somebody doing something that could be considered part of rape culture. So you're like, hey, X, Y, and Z, why are you doing that? This is not part of, you shouldn't be doing that because it's not good, blah 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 blah. And the next thing they say, I hope you're not talking when I saw you do that to X, Y, and Z, blah 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 blah. And it's like, conversation almost kind of ends there, because like, and I guess that's how arguments kind of go, because people find a way to discredit you and kind of make what you're trying to say, null and void, or discredit you as a person, so whatever you're saying doesn't even matter or doesn't hold as much weight anymore. So I'm not saying that's a reason why maybe most men don't call things out, but that's one thing that would definitely be on my mind, me personally, when trying to call anything out. Not saying that I won't call it out, but I may be a lot slower in my I guess approach to try to stop that culture,
I mean, I think one thing too is that you have to gauge, who you're speaking to, how that conversation would go. But either way, yeah, someone could sit there and be like, "Oh, yeah, you used to do this, that, and the third." Okay, it still doesn't negate the fact that what you're doing is wrong. You can try to call me out on my shit all you want to, but if I already acknowledge that, and now I'm like, okay, wow, like I really did used to do this stuff, and not see what I have done and how it's affected people, like, yo, you're doing it too. Yeah, the person could probably counter and be like, oh, okay, so like you're talking, and I know you used to do this and the third. All right, but what you're doing is still wrong. So are we going to address that or not?
yeah,
Like, if we all had that mentality, nothing would get done. Like, people would never grow from that. You know what I'm saying? People will
that's
always say
right.
stuff to discredit you, and like you keep it pushing because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, maybe I did used to do some stuff, but now I'm trying to be better. Now, again, with context, because it depends on how far or what you were doing and how you contributed. Like, if you're over
Yeah,
here raping women, okay, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's why I said you have to, everything is, I feel like contextual. You really need to gauge what you're saying, but I still feel like men especially need to hold each other accountable because I feel like women have been saying this from the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
even though some men are listening, now that we're really having this conversation, I think if it would be maybe more impactful if a man heard it from another man too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very true. But you know, they're also, man, if you think about it, it's there's so many levels to this because I also start to think about, you know, those college times when you have kickbacks or whatever. As a girl, you're going to a guy's house. As a guy, you're waiting for these girls to come through. You buy all these liquor. You buy all the liquor and stuff. You know, and your intention is to kind of get girls loose, right? Or not even loose, but kind of relax to have fun. Is that would you consider that being part of rape culture, or do the girls go in there expecting to get, you know, kind of loose and twisted to chill with these guys? You get what
Yeah,
I'm
I do.
saying?
And again, I feel like this, I think is a tricky situation that it can go very left very fast. But I think if it comes down to a basic understanding between you guys, and again, if at any time that she feels uncomfortable, then you just need to stop. You know what I'm saying? If you guys both went there with the
Yeah.
intention of you're gonna chill back, you're gonna drink, get yourself a little loose. If she's clearly very inebriated, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Inebriated?
And inebriated, yeah, inebriated,
Okay,
inebriated. It sounds weird.
Lord.
Y'all get what we
All
mean.
right. If she was drunk, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Clearly and visibly drunk, you need to back off. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times too, and I think this is how men start to realize, okay, there's certain things they're like, oh, I'm not a rapist. I never, you know, touched a woman. I never did this, that, and the third. But, if she can't clearly state, like explicitly state what she wants because she's drunk, and then you need to stop. I know some men probably have gone forward with that. You know what I'm saying?
And I definitely understand that, right? And now in this time, in this day and age, right, dog. My question is, yo, is we doing this or not? You say nope. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Uber,
That's
here you
it.
go. Take your butt home.
That,
But here's the thing with it. Here's the thing with that, right? Because I think they say like like a higher percentage of communication is not actual verbal, it's actually nonverbal communication. Is actually through the body and stuff like that, right? We kind of reading vibes and reading situations. That's where most of the, I guess, communication comes from, if I'm not
mhm.
mistaken. Um, in a case where, okay, let's kind of backtrack to my initial thought with the whole liquor thing, right? Now, with a guy buying liquor, knowing that girls are coming over, I guess its intent is the main thing, right? Because I'm as much as people want to admit, like most guys, when they're getting liquor and they have girls coming through, it's to kind of get the girls loose, right, or get people calm so they can make certain decisions that could be in our
Mhm.
favor. Am I incorrect there, or am I
I
kind of
mean,
on the
you the
right
man.
track?
You tell me. I assume that
I mean,
that's what how it usually goes. Yes, that's how it goes.
okay. Now, okay, say you as a girl, right? No, just think about back to your college
Mhm.
days as well. Like, do you know for a fact, or do you have kind of have that inkling that that's what
Yeah,
most guys
yeah,
are doing, and you are willingly going into that
yeah,
situation knowing that?
yeah. I think because a lot of times
Okay,
it's like,
all right.
um, the perceived notion is drinking or smoking whatever have you is to get the mood a little fun, a little relaxed. Maybe you might be a little more uptight if you didn't have a drink, but if you had a couple in you, then you're a little, you know.
But then doesn't that like kind of isn't that kind of whew, man, doesn't that add to part of the whole rape culture thing, right? Like knowing for a fact that this liquor, I know for a fact that this liquor, once this person drinks this, is going to make them want to be in a situation where they're a lot calmer and looser, which may make me want to shoot my shots per se. Or am I thinking too deeply into this?
I don't think you're thinking too deeply. I really think in a situation like that, and that's why I say it's tricky, is because at the same time too, um, women also know most times that they're engaging in this type of behavior. Now, again, I'm not saying that that means that she automatically
Oh,
wanted to
definitely.
fuck going
Yeah.
over there. No. Maybe she just wanted to have a good time. Maybe she just wanted to be in the company of the guy, you know what I'm saying? And not feel like
Hmm.
I'm tight about it. That's why you just like you said, you need to gauge how everything is going. And as soon as someone, and again, like we're talking from a woman's perspective too, but I want to make sure I'm being inclusive and talking about, because sometimes men go through it too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is that as soon as somebody states that they're uncomfortable, son, tap out. That's it. Like, and a lot of times it's like, if you want to go over and feel loose, men and women do it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you didn't want to have, a drink or two to feel a little nice, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like it starts getting into those murky waters once um someone starts feeling uncomfortable and then something is being pressured on them or coerced out of them or something. Then that's when you start going into that tricky waters, you know?
It's really like this thing is so tricky, and you can get caught up so quickly, right? Because I know I've had situations in the past where I don't know, like it's so weird because there's certain things you could say on here, and it just sounds so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but sometimes, okay, let me ask you this actually. Does does no mean no every time?
Mm-hmm. Does no mean no?
Like, exactly. There's no mean no every, like think about it, right? Think about just kind of, I guess, listeners also, you want to do this as well, man, women. Think about the time where you were with that one person where you had that sexual chemistry with, right? And you wanted to do it, right? Because I've also been in the position where I wanted to do it, but I may have felt somewhat uncomfortable in a sense. I know I wanted to do it, but it may have been something like something kind of dumb in a sense where maybe I may have not shaved my chest or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say no in a like, haha, nah, 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 not now, right? But the person kind of keeps on pushing and pushing, and then you kind of go with it. You don't necessarily say yes, right? But your body language is like, I'm for it, but I'm just a little shyish, and I don't know. I don't
So
know how to
I feel
explain it. Like, do
like,
you kind of get what I'm saying?
yes, I feel like, again,
Like,
you need to gauge
it's
because
really.
sometimes somebody is feeling a little shy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're a little reluctant, or maybe they want to go full throttle, but they're trying to read the situation. Um, so again, sometimes people maybe are saying no, but they want to say yes. But
But see, and that's an issue too, because I think now we're getting to a point where everybody's like, yo, no is no, regardless if she says no, like,
yeah,
no, not now on some like, no, baby, no, like, no, it's like no. Like no matter what kind of no, as long as she says no, no is no. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, and it sounds so predatory, it sounds so rapey, like, but sometimes does no always mean no, or is like no, like, yo, let me just kind of toy with you for you to try again. Like, and it sounds so rapey, guys. I promise you guys, this is me trying to be as just really inquisitive, trying to understand exactly this realm of rape culture in a sense.
hmm
But I don't know. Like, do you feel me though?
and this is why a lot of this stuff is contextual. But if I feel like at this point, if a woman is saying no, right before you proceed, you make sure you have the green light. And if at any point, because a lot of times too, people are like, "Oh, well, we're already doing whatever, fooling around, getting a hot foreplay, whatever you want to call it," and she said no, bruh, it's still no. You know what I'm saying? I
But
think
but,
it's up.
but even think about
Hmm
but think about this, Gloria. Have this I don't know. I want to get too personal. You can answer. You don't want to answer. But have you actually said? I won't say have you ever said yes, but like think about maybe times you've had you and this one other person, right? Have you actually said yes to a person, or has it more so body language?
It has been body language, but one thing, if it's been no, then it's no. You know what I'm saying? Like I make that very clear that this is what we're not about to do. You know?
But things that isn't, because even when they say about consent, right? They say did you get consent? And normally in that sense where it said did you get consent, it should be more so this a verbal response that as awaited, right? So for example, if you go to a courtroom and they say did you get consent, and the person says, "Well, she didn't say no," um, you know that doesn't mean she also said yes. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, and to be quite frank, to be quite frank, again, I really think you need to judge on the situation. I just know if a person is saying no, then take their word for that unless they say otherwise. Now, if you're fooling around and it's like, oh, you didn't really get consent, but we're moving forward with it, a lot of stuff in sex, like you said, is like nonverbal, but a lot of it is a lot of stuff with sex, like you have to communicate with your partner, you know what I'm saying, or whoever the person you're having sex with. So sometimes I guess people don't really try to say much because they're not trying to kill the mood or whatever have
mm-hmm.
you. But bro, I'd rather kill a mood than come out with a charge. You know what I'm saying?
That's real. That's real. But things that it's so, especially when there's liquor involved, or like you're using like some recreational drugs and stuff like that, where you're kind of your horniness is probably just heightened. There are hormones all over the place, and I know most guys for a fact, um, they definitely are on some probably no means like not necessarily no for the entire
She's
moment, but
playing
it's
hard
like
to
no
get.
for the next 2 minutes until I try again,
Like she's
huh?
playing hard to get.
Yeah, like she's playing hard to get, and I know this happens a lot in the African culture. Um, like Nigerian Twitter is so wild when it comes to sexual assault and blaming the woman, and a lot of God, the entitlement that comes with. I don't know if this stems to Caribbean men as well, but the entitlement that comes with African men and women's bodies are so wild, and I see it on like I'm subscribed to pretty much African Twitter, I guess Nigerian Twitter for the
Hmm.
most part. But
I'm not.
you see a lot of these things where like we're oh well Ghanaian Twitter too,
Mm.
where you see a lot of these men are like, well, why is she looking so good, or why is she wearing this dress, and if she didn't want to have sex or whatever, why was she drinking my alcohol, why was she in my hotel room, blah blah blah, and it's just
Yeah.
like, yo,
I've heard that many times, unfortunately. And it's like, yeah, because at the end of the day, maybe sometimes too, someone was with it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she or he was with it at the moment. They're excited, they're going out, they're drinking the liquor, they're doing all of this. But that still doesn't mean that you are entitled to have sex with them. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that men need to rearrange their expectations. Like, okay, maybe you do want to have sex, right? Um,
mm-hmm,
you would very much enjoy having sex with this person, but don't maybe go in with that as the ultimate end goal, because if you're real disappointed, I feel like that's when it ends up being like, then why were you here drinking my liquor in my hotel room? Oh, and that tight ass dress, whatever the shit y'all niggas be saying, I don't know. And that's when it
and
starts getting
that's
into that
true
territory,
because
because I mean, we, because you want it, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that once we start saying that, oh well, then why were you doing this on the third? It was like, okay, bro, like maybe I came over and I was enjoying a drink, and I did maybe was planning on fooling around, but you know what? Actually, now I'm here and nah, and that happens too.
okay. Now, in your experience though, who do you think um is worse when it comes to with female entitlement, and or I guess women's entitlement, female entitlement, um we say Caribbean men, African men, or African American men?
Men in general, like I really feel like it
Oh, wow.
transcends a race, it transcends um all of that, ethnicity,
Cultures
culture.
and all
It does.
that.
You hear it in all types of cultures: Nigerian, Ghanaians, Africans, period, Caribbean men. You hear it in Middle Eastern men, especially a lot of times too. Oh my
And you,
God. I
but you don't think it's worse in
No,
one
I
than the
don't.
other,
I do not.
even
Nope.
white men
I
compared to
Nope.
black men?
I really don't. Maybe there's some stats to disprove that, but what I've known is that men, period, have
That's interesting. I just
done stuff.
I
I
don't,
don't think. Do you
That's
think
interesting.
that certain races doing more, or certain ethnicities
I
doing
definitely,
more than others?
I think it's for some reason I feel like it's worse in African men, and definitely Middle Eastern men. Um, Caribbean, I I would say maybe more so I guess because I'm so used to the African culture. I'm brought up in it. I'm raised in it. I have, you know, I see more of it on a daily basis. It just makes me believe that it's more prevalent in African men as opposed to
Right. I
others.
think it's just what you
Um,
have been exposed
I don't
to.
know.
But I feel like if you did speak to
Yeah.
people and their experiences in different ethnicities, cultures, and races, I think you hear the stories are very much the same. Like if you turn on the TV now and you're seeing a lot of these assault cases, I think the spectrum would be pretty broad. I don't think you would see primarily what, like I think you would see a good blend of people. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because again, what
I,
transcends the
I have to
race
say
and what
that's
transcends ethnicity and culture is that misogynistic and patriarchal way of thinking. That transcends
yeah.
everything. And that's what has been established in all cultures worldwide. It doesn't matter where you've been, it's the dominance of man over woman and them thinking they're entitled to women's bodies. And that's why before like their child marriages, that's why they're there. Um, Men thinking they can do whatever, rape multiple women, do all this stuff. And it is not specific to one race. No.
That's so true. And like, so how do we unlearn this behavior? Like, because even now that I've been really more introspective, trying to look at the things I do on a daily basis and how I'm contributing to it. Like at a time in my life, right, where I guess my hormones were at a peak, and they're still up there. I see a fat ass walking down the street. I'm like, dog, and all these thoughts are going through my mind, and it's so crazy because I can even position myself to keep on looking at that butt as it's walking for a long. And this is, although maybe she may not see me looking at it, I guess you could call it borderline harassment with my eyes, because and it's just so wild, so how do we unlearn this behavior and start to appreciate women more as beings and equals as opposed to you know just objects or continuing this behavior? How do we stop it? How do we teach our men, like, yo, we gotta chill with all of this and
Well, I
start
think
to move in the
we're
right direction?
starting to move in the right direction, and especially with the woman in Hollywood, especially coming out and saying all these things, especially because we know in a time that they were scared to. That's why it's all coming now, and if people are talking about allegations from when there were, you know, preteens and teenagers, and you know what I'm saying. So I think right now we're moving in a direction because now more people are speaking their truth and what they experience. And unfortunately, that might be triggering to them or to others. But I think it gets the conversation started. I think personal
Yeah.
accountability with men as to how they contribute to rape culture is a good way to start because
Yeah.
more times out of 10, and not only men too, like unfortunately, us women too do contribute in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when it comes to your friend,
Bro,
you know?
bro, how many times I had my butt grabbed in high school and niggas be grabbing my dick all crazy, like,
Yeah, and
yo,
actually, I just
crazy,
saw a
yo.
clip with like August Alsina and like women were over there grabbing his penis, and I was just like, why?
Hmm.
Like, like, why are you doing that? I mean, granted, like I said, and there's many ways that women contribute to the culture too, and not only like that, but sometimes it's someone that they know. You know what I'm saying? That they know is doing really foul shit and they won't say anything. Or they'll be like, oh, but he's a really good guy. Or maybe it was just this one girl. Maybe she put herself in a position. That's certain ways too that sometimes us women contribute to rape culture. So I think it starts with personal accountability with men. And I think it starts with honest conversations ourselves too. Like, oh, okay, is there in a sense too have I contributed to certain things? I think it's going to take a long time to
That's
unlearn because it is so deep rooted the way that we think. Um,
yep.
it's very hard. It's gonna
And
take
you know,
time, but I
and
think we're in the right direction. And I really think that, man, you cannot hide under that blanket that was covering you guys for so long. Like, we're really pushing shit to the front, and we're forcing you guys to acknowledge what you guys are doing. And I think, not for nothing, that's a step in the right direction, because that wasn't happening before. And if it was, then the woman was shunned. She was you know
yeah,
so I think we're moving in the right direction, but we also need to hold our people accountable as well, in a sense. Like I said, check them earlier. Yeah, we still need to say is wrong. Just because maybe you were an ex drug addict and you see a friend over there still hitting the pipe, are you going to be like, oh, well, I used to smoke crack, so I can't sit here and tell him, like, don't do that? You know what I'm saying?
that's true.
You have to
That's
hold
true.
people accountable,
That's
especially
real.
if you're in a space that you're learning and growing from it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, just before we do kind of round it up, though, there are probably a few things I want to touch on because, I see for the most part, we do have this, there's this big taboo when we look at, men, touching little girls. For example, say a teacher was to touch, a little girl or whatnot. It's
You
like,
said a big
don't,
taboo.
yeah, I mean,
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's terrible.
it's
It's
wrong. Like,
it's
it's
wrong.
a
I mean, yeah,
taboo that's
yeah. I mean,
wrong.
it's wrong, right? So now, but when you think about like, when you see these students, these male students in school saying that they had sex with their teacher or the teacher had sex with them rather, um, it's so weird for me. In my head, I'm like, yo, why didn't that happen to me? I had some bad teachers in high school. How come they didn't want to do this to me, right? But when it comes to girls, it's like when it's the other way around, it's like, oh my gosh, why is that so? Where what is the reasoning behind that? I need somebody to definitely explain that to
Say
me.
your
Why I
question. State it again, because you lost
okay,
me.
I'm
You
sorry.
said, why is.
So for example, right? You know how like you see on news reports on Twitter and stuff like that where they show these adult teachers, female teachers, having sex with their students, their male students.
Mhm.
And most guys, including myself, I'm like, yo, I had all these bad teachers in school. How can this boy be snitching, saying that the teacher has sex with him and blah blah blah? Like you should
Bad
be
as in,
proud.
like, attractive.
Yeah, like exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
Like because most, I guess, in most guys' head, um, it's you. There's always this fantasy of having sex or doing something with the older woman, the older teacher, the sexy teacher in class, or having a crush on her and stuff like that. As opposed to if girls, if a guy was to try to have a crush with his female student, it's like it's really creepy in a
Mhm.
sense. Um, so I'm just really trying to figure out exactly where this thought or this mentality of
It goes right. Son, the theme is the same. Not patriarchy, and men, when they're, I guess, coming of age, being involved with the woman is kind of like your rite of passage. So being young, right, and dealing with someone who's older and having sex, it doesn't carry the same connotation as if it was the other way around, because you're seen as the man. You're seen as, oh, now, you have officially entered
and
manhood.
and,
And
and
a lot of times too, like, actually, I know someone who was like, oh, like, when I was a certain age, like, this person did whatever, whatever. And I was like, oh, so you were molested? They were like, no, no, because it was like, oh, like, no. I was like, she was how much older than you? Like 20 something, and you were like 10? That's that's assault. Like, I was like, this is, and a
yeah,
lot of times, like, men are so conditioned for it not to be, that you get a story like that, and it was like, oh, no, no, actually, she thought I was attractive. I was like 12 and she was like 30, and we had sex. Like, bro, what is a 30-year-old woman doing with like a 12-year-old boy? You know what I'm saying? It's that whole
yeah,
system.
that's interesting because even when lately, I think there was this pop star, this model who had said that the kid from what's that show, Stranger Things. I don't know. Do you watch Stranger Things?
Yeah, Bro, you saw me watching
Oh,
Stranger Things.
oh yeah, but yeah. So that the kid from Stranger Things was cute, and he's 14. I think the girl was 25 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, I remember that age. I remember me at that age because there was this girl in Nigeria that was so bad. Oh my god, that one girl, woman. She had to be in her 20s. Like she had like a flat, a flat,
Mm-hmm.
an apartment. Um, with other like 20-year-olds. And I always used to go there just to look at these women. Like they were so bad. I always wanted to do something with them, right? And when we got this report of, him being, I saw him saying that, oh, it was kind of weird, that she was trying to talk to him and stuff like that. The first thing that came to my head, like, yo, are you good? Like this is an older woman. I didn't even see the girl. She might have been ugly, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that came to my head, like, yo, you have this older joint trying to holler at you. Boy, you better enjoy yourself.
Which one
But
of
it's
them
like,
said this?
no, this is me saying this. This is me saying that that was my reaction to him saying that
Yeah,
she
but
was kind
which
of weird.
actor? Like who from Stranger? You said
The what's his name? Mike, the one that fell in love with 11.
who? Oh, not the one with like the lisp. The other one.
No, that's Dustin.
Oh,
Mike, the one that
I
that
don't know
took
their names
Ellen.
yet. Oh, okay, okay,
I
yeah,
don't know.
okay.
Yeah. But he was like, yeah, it was kind of weird that she was hitting on him and stuff like that. And when I saw him say that, the first thing came to mind, like, yo, this is an older woman trying to holler at you. Boy, you better enjoy yourself. But that's also kind of a sick mentality to have, me personally, because like I've been so ingrained or it's been ingrained in me to think this way, like, yo, getting the older women is always it's it, you know? It's just weird, man. This levels to this.
It is levels to it, but I really, really think we're starting in a good place with the conversations that are being had because even quite frankly, think about it. Were you having these type of conversations just even a few years ago? No. You know what I'm saying?
Not really.
No.
I was thinking about grabbing ass and titties at
Yeah.
parties.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody thought that was normal. But some women probably was like, okay, some people not. But at the end of the day, it was kind of normalized, like you said.
Yeah.
And now, and especially in like, speaking about cultures, even like an African culture too, where a lot of times, sometimes the women are powerless, and sometimes we got to think about it generationally as well,
Generationally.
because now that I feel
Mhm.
like women are in better positions now that we're not as dependent as on the man, so we can speak out freely. Like if you think about it, a lot of times women were very dependent on the man. How much could they really say? You know, if they say something, it's either, get beaten, probably get raped or assaulted some more, is tell somebody else. They probably wouldn't believe you, or they'll tell you to keep quiet because this is essentially all you have. A lot of women go through that, So I think,
And
mhm.
and what's okay, sorry to cut you off, but I was thinking like, I also used to think maybe lack of education was the reason why a lot of men probably thought of women as property and stuff like that, especially back home. In the village and in the lower communities, you would see, the men talking real crazy about women, like, oh, why is she going out? Why is she not? She's my woman. She's supposed to cook for me, blah, blah, blah. This sense of entitlement. But you come to find out that even in America and the most educated men, people that go to boarding schools, prestigious schools, for example, Donald Trump, you know, thinks of women in this way, and he's supposed to be quote unquote educated as
Ugh.
well. So it's really weird where patriarchy really doesn't.
It's not an
I guess it
education thing,
doesn't.
whereas is like we
Yeah.
all say, like if we're comfortable, like especially if we like talk about it too, if when we talk about like white privilege, you're not gonna try
Hmm.
to change the status quo because you benefit from it, right? On most
Hmm.
points, you know what I'm saying? Even
Yeah.
if you know it's affecting people negatively. My God, I can't speak today.
Hmm.
Even though it's affecting people negatively, you gotta benefit from it, right? So that's the same thing. You can say lack of education, but we know that's not true. We know that it's easier to have women to be oppressed, so you can
Hmm.
do whatever you want with them. And hide behind that whole thing of not really being educated and not really knowing certain things. I feel like now in this rape culture we're being more privy to. Maybe we didn't know, but the overall arching theme is that we do know. Men know what they're doing is wrong. They
Yeah.
know that. They know. You seen a woman walking down the street, or and then you feel entitled to grab her. What is that about? Or you grab her, you kidnap her, you rape her. Especially, and that happens a lot in African countries, in a lot of war zones. A lot of these
Hmm.
women are being held captive and being raped, being tortured, being killed off, having babies by men just cause. You know what I'm saying? And they know
That's
what's wrong. So we can't even say it's a lack of education, where it's just a lack of respect for women. Period. That's what
women. That's
always
true.
been about. The underlying
That's true though.
was.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna add some. I'm gonna look up some more stats and add that to the. It's gonna be in the show notes, guys. So you definitely want to check out the links in the show notes, just to everything that has to do with the rape culture discussion we had today, as well as our other plugs on the podcast. But I would just say to wrap this up, fellas, I definitely want to take my stand into making sure that we have a safer environment for our women, our queens. We definitely don't want to, continue this behavior because it doesn't benefit anyone. There's no reason why we should be hurting our own women, and ladies, if you are contributing to the cycle of this, rape culture and things like that, I would urge you to stop. There's so many avenues we could go into this, the financial aspects of it and things, stuff like that. But we can definitely table this conversation, have somebody else, have another conversation about it.
Yeah, and this is just the tip
You
of
have
the
anything?
iceberg. Oh my God, we can go into so many different avenues with this, but just to even kind of have a conversation and wrap our head around it, because there's a lot of stuff going on. And also to mention, because I was seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter too with this, I guess his Twitter handle, I don't know if his Twitter is still active at this point, by
Icon?
corn, and that's by like as in bye bye
Yeah.
corn, and the whole bourbon ball thing. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, because a lot of people, I guess it happened this past weekend in DC, and I heard a lot of people saying that they should cancel the event. And I think these allegations just came out maybe 2-3 days before the event. Do you think they should have canceled?
Um, it's hard to say because I'm really a believer in. God, the reason, I don't know. I was thinking about this, right, and he's not the only one that was associated with Bourbon Ball. There are a lot of, I think there were a few other people that were associated with it, and he's the only one. I guess he was kind of like the face of it in a sense. Um, it hurts me because the idea of Bourbon Ball I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it was a good place for people to just go and have fun and have drinks, and for the fact that it was black owned, and you saw mostly black faces. That's something I enjoy. I enjoy seeing a space where black people can just come together and just be themselves. Now, the fact that this one guy, allegedly assaulted all these women, and now the entire brand has to go down just because of him. It kind of, I'm halfway about it. I'm just like,
So
I
basically,
think
they should have.
he,
Um, I mean, like they shouldn't have canceled. I mean, they didn't, but
I, I, I think they should have won. I think they should have definitely maybe, um, I think one refunded the money. Um, but I don't know exactly. I don't know the financial aspects of it. I don't know if they had the money on hand to do so, or the venue, stuff like that. But I definitely don't think the entire brand should have gone down for what he did, even though that now that brand is going to be associated with that. Um, man,
I mean,
I think I think what should have been done, and maybe a woman come to the forefront of it. And it could be like, unfortunately, it could be just for optics and stuff like that. But
a woman did
have
come
a
forward. They
black.
had like one of the ladies involved, like did PR or something. came forward and stated like he wouldn't get any money from the event, like they're deeply
Oh yeah, yeah, I
sorry.
think I saw that, and I think Crystals were like, Crystal says, "You think I wasn't born yesterday? Or you think I was born yesterday?" Something to that effect, like acting like um she wasn't stupid, pretty much that they were gonna give him the part of the money anyway.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, but that
It
the
sucks. It
whole
really
bourbon
sucks.
ball thing, I just think, I guess with the time of the allegations, I guess maybe essentially they could have covered the event, and I don't know how these things work. Like if they have some type of insurance, like if something was to happen, if they had to cancel an event, if they had to postpone it, like I don't know how these things work. But I do think with
Yeah,
it being so close and obviously money is invested, I see how it's hard to. So I'm
but
not sitting here
yeah,
thinking
they
like,
can.
oh my god, they're the worst people in the world because it wasn't canceled. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of things that go into
Yeah,
that. So I'm sure maybe they couldn't pull out as easily as they wanted to, if they did want to anyway. So I'm not really caught up on that fact. And I think a lot of things too also going around with the conversations on Twitter was like a lot of names was being thrown out there, and I think it's
yeah.
also
A lot of names
we
were
have
being.
to be cautious with you know all these people just throwing things out there as well, and just putting it out there. I think we do have to be cautious with that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing too, because we really have to be cautious with, who we are, putting out there. Now, I'm not saying that, if you feel somebody definitely, sexually assaulted you, by all means, tell your story, speak up, right? But at the same time, right, when you do put somebody's name in the same sentence as maybe rape culture or sexual assaults, that name is pretty much tainted from then on out, because anything that that person does, especially if maybe they're known, could really everything really could be misconstrued from that point. It's very weird. It's really murky waters, and it's really not clear.
It's
I don't
not,
want to
but
stop anybody from.
I think for that aspect at least, I think we it's a tread lightly situation. Obviously, if you're accusing someone of something, I think you should take that allegation seriously. But I still think we need to be careful with the way we're spreading the
Yeah,
information.
it's hard. It's hard, but I mean, you have any final thoughts or anything before we wrap it up?
Well, my final thoughts is the thoughts that I have carried throughout this whole episode, which is men, hold yourselves accountable, hold your people accountable as well. There's a lot of things that have been, I guess, brushed off, up until this point in time. And not saying that now that all of these things are happening, they won't continue to happen, but at least we're starting somewhere. So we just really need to drive that factor of accountability and making sure you change your behaviors if you are contributing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, fellas, my final thoughts. Definitely, like I said earlier, protect our women. Definitely empathize more if somebody's saying that you've done certain things to them. I know, by human nature alone, you will want to be defensive and and throw the what about yous, and women are doing this as well, and blah blah blah. But it doesn't take much for you to be to just listen and empathize, and at least try to see where that person is coming from, man or woman.
Yeah.
So I urge our men to definitely take this more seriously, um, work hard to unlearn these toxic behaviors that we have, um, and just let's just strive to be better, honestly, and that's really my mentality going forward. My hormones are always going to be there; they're always, but you have to control them. You have to learn to be a decent human being. Really, I mean, that's really all it comes down to.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
And respect women. My
guys,
God, it's not that hard.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Respect women. I mean, I am going to, add some notes to the, actually just check the show notes, guys. They're going to be a bunch of links for you to look at there. Um, you know, statistics of, rape in Africa, as well as, sexual assault in America. Just a bunch of links that are definitely, uh, kind of that relate to the topic today. Okay, guys. I want to thank you for listening with us. Uh, that's pretty much it, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for listening to Both Sides Podcast.
Bye.
He say all our friends are living la vida loca.